Welcome back to Alpine Garage Sports. My name is Chris. I am your host for this show, and I very much appreciate you all being here. We're having a good time. If you haven't already subscribed, this is a great time to do so. This is the first video in our N.i.l series of 4 videos. So this video is going to be about A to Z about N.i.l, kind of get you informed on how these athletes are able to kind of turn their name, image, and likeness into cash and kind of grow their brands and things like that. Then we're also going to do one on collectives and where collectives play a part in N.i.l and what types of collectives there are, because there's a ton of different collectives out there. Then we're going to go into specific Colorado collectives, because there are a numerous amount of Colorado collectives that are starting to come on as of late, and each one of them does something different for the athlete. So this will be for the student athlete, so this will be interesting. And then the last one is we're going to go through Colorado legislation, because Colorado did pass legislation on N.i.l, and I'm going to go through that with you so you know the details of that. So there are 4 videos coming out. Join us for all of them. So first today, N.i.l. What is N.i.l? Most of us know that N.i.l is name, image, and likeness. Now, that terminology is actually built around some lawsuits that were happening in late 2018, 2019, 2020 that had to do with players being compensated for their play. Now, it made it to the Supreme Court. There's a lot of background on this, but essentially the NCAA wanted all or nothing. Like they wanted to completely cap off any kind of payment whatsoever. It ended up going to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court then decided that the NCAA could not limit educational-related benefits. Now, that educational-related benefit could be anything. I mean, you could say a computer is $50,000, and so you're going to give $50,000 for the student. But they actually put clauses in there for that. I think they called it the Lamborghini rule or something like that. But outside of that hearing, they also had a hearing about name, image, and likeness. And it came down that name, image, and likeness was something that was going to be allowed. And Brett Kavanaugh was actually famous for saying to the NCAA, nowhere else in America can a business get away with not agreeing to pay its workers a fair rate on the theory that its product is defined by not paying its workers a fair rate. The NCAA is not above the law. So that basically put the hammer down and said that the NCAA was saying that no, college football is about not paying them. That's what college football is about. It's about amateurism. And the state Supreme Court said, no, you can't define it like that. So that opens up a whole lot of future legislation that's going to be coming down. But for now, during that, they also came out with the fact that N.i.l was a thing. Athletes should be able to be paid for this, and that essentially they were leaving it up to the states to make their own decisions. But even preceding this legislation, Florida and Texas had already started kind of adopting laws in order to kind of develop this N.i.l thing. And I vividly remember this a couple of years ago, that all the other states, or I should say many other states, many other schools were saying, oh, that's not fair. They can actually get involved in this and we can't. But then it was soon after that that almost every state came up with its own laws. And the NCAA basically threw up their hands and said, at this point, we're leaving it to the states. And if the states aren't going to have a law, then it's just up to each individual school to have their own laws on this. The main sticking points for the NCAA were that the school cannot physically pay for play for an athlete. So this had to come from outside the university, and it has to be something that is an in-kind gesture. So the athlete has to perform a service for a payment that they're given. So there isn't a direct payment to the athlete for nothing, basically. Now, there's also other caveats that say you can't, that N.i.l money cannot be actually earmarked for the admittance to a school. For instance, you can't say, I'm going to give you $7 million if you agree to go to this school. Or I can't give you $7 million if you perform a certain way at this school. You can't do that with N.i.l. It's not tied to performance, and it's not tied to attendance. So at this point, you're literally, as getting N.i.l, you're getting that specifically for you. Your name, image, and likeness is associated with a particular business or individual. And that's what it's about. The fact that they play for the school is almost incidental at this point. And that is the intent of the law, right? Now, the question is it being used that way? And we're going to go into that in another video. But for now, let's talk about what is name, image, and likeness and how can it be used. So these athletes now, knowing these rules, they can actually go out and they can do virtually anything they want with their name, image, and likeness, as long as it abides by those bylaws and any other state laws that are indicated by the state or the school on an agreement that an athlete can make and what they're going to be doing for that money, essentially. And we'll go into the Colorado state laws in the 4th video so that you guys can see specifically what the state actually has drafted. But the biggest thing that I would say, probably the number one thing that most athletes are doing with that NIL is they're going to social media and they're starting social media accounts. And they're doing a day in the life of a Division I student athlete. That is kind of the way that they are starting this program. And there's a lot of interest in this. Some of these student athletes are making tens of thousands of dollars on social media just by posting regularly. Now, another way that student athletes can get paid is like personal appearance and autograph signings. So this is a way that local businesses can attract new customers to their business by taking some of the student athletes from the university and come down, do autograph signings and shake hands, that kind of thing, take pictures. And so that's something that happens a lot as well. Teaching camps and personal instruction. That is going to be a big one this summer. So there are going to be lots of mini camps all over the state, and there are going to be players that are going to go and participate in those for NIL money. And they can also do personal training. So if you have a student athlete that's at high school and they want to be trained by a particular athlete at the University of Colorado, you can kind of set that up. So there's a lot of opportunity in this. Then there's good old-fashioned advertising. I've got a car lot. I don't have a car lot. I kind of have a car lot, but I don't sell any of these things. But let's say I had a car lot. I could have 2 or 3 of the players come down to my car lot and do some advertising for me. Talk to prospective buyers that are coming in to look at vehicles and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity here. And they can also start a business. There's a lot of things that they can do. They can start an apparel business if they want to. The sky is the limit. Essentially, it's a free market economy. So at this point, they can do whatever they want to do, try to further their name, their image, or their likeness. And there's a lot of ways that they're doing that. And one of the biggest ways for these student athletes to get involved is the collectives. So you can go directly to the athlete, or you can go through a collective. And through the collective is a little bit easier because the collective helps the student athlete with advice and legal advice and tax advice and things like that. Plus, then you also get an opportunity to make direct contact with somebody or even multiple people with their help. So these collectives are a big deal, and they're becoming a bigger and bigger deal as we go on, and they're starting to multiply, and we'll go through that in the next video. Now, when you're talking about the big names that we have at the University of Colorado, they don't get any bigger than this. I'll tell you that right now. So On3 actually ranks NIL. Sorting it down to just football, you have Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, number 3 and number 4 in college football on the On3 ranking. So you're talking about Travis Hunter at $1.7 million and Shedeur Sanders at $1.5 million, and that's an estimated income. Then if you look down in there, for instance, Travis Hunter, one of his main brands is Strahan. So Strahan has picked him up. Michael Strahan's brands has picked him up, and now Travis is working for him. And he has more than 5 huge deals with other companies as well. And then you have Shedeur, who's just behind Travis, and Shedeur signed with Mercedes-Benz. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but he's actually signed with Mercedes-Benz. He's a Brady brand guy because he likes to wear Brady's brand, and being a quarterback and having that relationship there, that's a big deal for him as well. And then just recently picked up Oikos. Actually, the whole family did. So you have the entire Sanders family essentially being hired by Oikos to sell yogurt. So, I mean, who knows? The opportunities are endless at this point. That was a Super Bowl ad. So these guys are huge. Now, those are just the top guys. If you look down in there, Seydou Traore is at about $250,000. There's a lot of guys in there in the mid, 50 to 30 to 20 to 30,000, which for student athletes, a big deal. There's a lot of smaller sports at the universities like track and field and cross country and things like that are also able to participate in these collectives and earn a little bit of money for a little bit of work, basically, is what it's coming down to. So at this point, everybody can seem to benefit from it just in different ways depending on who you are and what your name, image, and likeness actually contains. What is its value right now? So I hope you found this informative. NIL, is it something that is good for college football? Is it something that is bad for college football? We'll answer that in another video. But I wanted to actually just put a little bit of framework on the NIL for the future videos that I have coming up. And those videos are a little bit more in detail than this one. This was just an overview. But if you have any questions, please put them down into the comments. Do you think NIL is good for college football? And we're just going to stick with college football right now. Or do you not? Put those down in the comments and let's talk about it. And then the next video tomorrow is going to be on NIL collectives in general. And then we're going to go into the Colorado collectives, and then we're going to go to the state law, and then I don't know where else we're going to go from there. But I want to really drill down this NIL thing so that everybody can fully understand it. And in the next 6 months, this is all going to change because new laws are coming out, and there's ways that they're going to be trying to cap things, I'm sure. So right now, it's the Wild West out there, and we're just celebrating it. So that is a wrap from Alpine Garage Sports. If you haven't already subscribed, this is a great time to do so. We're going to start doing these series so that we can, instead of just having a video here and a video there, we can talk about a specific scene in college football or in Colorado Buffs and kind of ride that scene for a while and kind of learn everything there is to know about it so that we're the most informed Colorado Buffs fans on the face of the earth. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you in the next video. And if you haven't heard already, we coming.